The karaoke receipt he did hide. The night Sweet K11 tuned his alibi. At 9:01 p.m., my inbox started singing about a reservation I hadn't made. "Thanks for booking, Mike House," the subject line chirped, cheerful as a maitre d'. In the body, a receipt strutted out in friendly fonts. Suite K11 Private Lounge 9:30 p.m. Room charge, drink minimum, 2 wireless mics. Under host, it said Armin. Under lead singer, it said Rowan. There was even a link to recommended duets, as if the night were a menu and appetite a formality. Rowan had left an hour earlier with the jacket that flatters him even when mirrors are Christians about it. "Wrap toast," he'd said, 2 words that make celebration sound like paperwork. Then notes with Armin. "Don't wait." Armin is sound. He carries microphones like promises and listens in a way that makes honesty think it invented itself. The cinnamon thing I'd put in the oven so sweetness could pretend to be strategy weighted like a witness that couldn't be sworn in. I stood with the email in my palm and listened to the apartment pick a temperature that wasn't mine. The receipt included a map, a thin blue vein leading from our street to a basement door behind a noodle shop that had taught half the city how to pronounce comfort. I didn't text him. The distance between a thumb and a decision is a cliff at that hour. I put on the jacket that knows how to be quiet and let the door close behind me as if wood could be convinced to take my side. Mike House hides itself by being obvious. Neon, a side entrance, a bored host with a clipboard laminated against regret. I held up the email like a passport. The host glanced at the screen, glanced at me, and then nodded toward a narrow hall damp with old songs. "K11, she said, "right after the vending machine. You've got 90. I passed a door that leaked total eclipse of the heart, like nostalgia through drywall, and another that hushed into the kind of laughter people only do when they've overpaid not to be heard. Outside K11, a small red eye blinked the way machines apologize in advance. I could have knocked. I could have said his name. Instead, I stood a foot from the threshold and felt the reverb of 2 mics settle a room into one throat. The door opened because rooms like this hate indecision. Rowan stepped out first, jacket off, shirt open a notch beyond daylight. He saw me the way a mirror sees a new hairline, first as himself, then as news. Behind him, Armin hovered in the seam, posture tidy and available, the way good furniture refuses to become a plot point. "Evan," Rowan said, my name with the softness of a receipt. "Your receipt is a gifted soprano," I said, because jokes are the leash I use to keep panic from bolting. It forwarded itself to me. Armin didn't apologize. He also didn't dare me. He said, "I'll give you to the room," the way professionals leave the air better than they found it. "Stay," I heard myself say, which surprised everyone including me. If I wanted theater, I would have texted. There is a back landing at Mike House where the air remembers the alley it used to be. The exit sign glows the color of decisions. A bare bulb performs honesty over a dented railing that has learned the language of palms. We arranged ourselves in that triangle people make when they're trying to decide who owes what to whom. "I lied when I left," Rowan said. He doesn't waste adjectives when he's decided to be correct. Rap happened. People used their best grammar on goodbye. I told myself I wanted 30 minutes where interesting didn't need a receipt. "Which direction?" I asked, because names are handles and I like my hands full when the floor tilts. "Armin," he said. He listens like he invented forgiveness. Armin's mouth allowed itself one human corner and then remembered to behave. He shifted a fraction farther into the shadow, present and not a dare. I lifted 2 fingers to the soft place at Rowan's wrist where men keep their apologies and felt his pulse write my name there without permission. His eyes closed the way doors do when they expect a hand. Are you sleeping with him? The question is a cliff. There isn't a scenic route. You count to one and use your mouth like an adult. Not yet, Rowan said, clean, immediate. Then lower, the honesty that knows exactly which muscle will bruise. I brought my mouth. Somewhere down the hall, I Want It That Way became a phenomenon nobody asked to attend. The bulb above us hummed in a key that could have been fatigue. I wanted to do anger like choreography. The body has priorities that ignore applause. You like the kind of wanting that proves something kindness can't, I said. I didn't make it cruel. Cruelty is the lazy cousin of precision. You treat intimacy like a sport and honesty like off-season training. You like to coach, Rowan said. One corner of his mouth attempted a bad idea and failed politely. Which is unfair, and how we've made it through the dress rehearsal of everything else. What do you want? I asked. Now not the apology you tuned for daylight. He stepped into the inch that had turned into a lie while we were speaking. Heat crossed cotton and chose me. He spoke close enough that punctuation found my lower lip. I want to go home, he said. I want you to want me where our towels know our names and desire isn't billed by the hour. Behind us, K11 coughed up a chorus that refused to be subtle. Armin tilted his head as if to give the night better acoustics and said, not to me and not quite to himself, he's louder with you. That hurt correctly. It also did the useful math. I lifted Rowan's chin with the same 2 fingers and kissed him, not hunger first, but relief. Relief is the kind of appetite you can walk across a neighborhood with and nobody has to pick a side. He leaned into it like a debt that finally liked its own accounting. My palm slid under his shirt to the heat at the small of his back where his body keeps its best arguments. He made the low sound he can't perform on cue, the one that convinces me our kitchen is holy. The exit sign threw our shapes onto the wall thinner than truth. I used my mouth to fix the ratio. I stopped before the landing could pretend to be a witness. He rested his forehead against mine because punctuation beats grammar in emergencies. When we turned back, Armin had taught the air how to be empty. The open mic inside the room fed a guitar's polite apologies into the hallway. Someone had found the setting labeled unnecessarily tender. We took the long way home because rhythm sometimes keeps men honest. I didn't touch him in the cab. Not touching can be an offering when touching would draft a future in ink we can't afford. The apartment let us in with the modesty of good rooms. The cinnamon had kept faith. We ate it with our fingers because forks would have lied. He leaned into the counter, the posture that means he wants to be moved. I slid my palm under his shirt and found heat like an address that refuses to forget itself. He tipped into me, gratitude making him heavy and exact. We were careful in bed, not the kind of careful that kills heat, the kind that knows where to fold it. He knows where to set his palm on my ribs so the rest of me turns without issuing a press release. I know where his shoulder hides when it doesn't want to confess, and how to coax it into telling the truth with weight and breath, and a mouth that has stopped trying to rescue him and still wants him. I won't draw you a map. I'll tell you the room remembered to breathe, and morning forgave us because it had other work. We slept the sleep that has terms and conditions. Morning buttoned a clean shirt on our choices. He made coffee the way he does when he wants me to listen. I opened the windows to see if mercy could afford us. The receipt sat between us on the table like a witness that only understands math. He started with small truths because small truths keep larger ones upright. The notes had run long. The sweet made his voice feel possible. Armin's attention had the grammar he'd wanted to try on. Then he ran out of script and did something better. He reached across the table and put his hand on my wrist like a person who knows what an artery is for. He said he is tired of being interesting for a living, tired of being curated, captioned, archived. He said he wanted, briefly and embarrassingly, to be wanted like teenagers are: stupid, earnest, badly lit. He said he imagined my mouth more than once under that awful bulb and felt ashamed of the math. He said he was sorry like a man who knows sorry is a tool, not an eraser. I didn't forgive him at the table. Forgiveness is a daylight animal in morning's charge. I told him to put on the coat that doesn't belong to basement clubs and walk with me to the canal where water lies about Paris, and we let it. On the bench we like, pigeons performed competence, and a runner's breath taught our bodies something better than tempo. He hooked his thumb in my pocket like humility. I let him. 2 nights later, I saw Armin in a lobby that smelled like lemon and ambition. He gave me the nod men give when they have chosen to be furniture on purpose. He didn't apologize and I didn't deputize. We took an elevator mirror that spelled our names backward and decided we didn't need to correct it. It isn't that we agreed. It's that we learned how to read ourselves both ways. Mike House still sends their Tundra Bright receipts. I don't trust their fonts or my inbox. I trust the square of light at 4 when it climbs our wall like an idea finally punching in. I trust the heat under his shirt at the small of his back when my hand remembers its job. If another confirmation tries to volunteer my location to my chest, I will do what I did the night the karaoke machine tuned his alibi. Find air, choose kissing over theater, walk him home with my palm on the part of him that knows the address, and keep teaching our door, gentle, stubborn, local, to open from the inside.